A developer's eye perspective on software from MacPaw. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Notion, the best AI tool for work. Check it out at notion.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we have something of a treat today, or at least a treat for me, because I'm always interested in looking behind the scenes and seeing what developers do, how they do it, what their concerns are. As customers and consumers, we all know what we see, and we know how we feel about what developers do in a given product. But sometimes it's just fun to find out what they're thinking and why they're thinking it. So this time around, I'm really happy to have two folks from MacPaw. Quick disclaimer, MacPaw is supporting MacVoices and has been for the last few weeks. So that's not exactly why they're here. They're here because I really have a huge amount of respect for MacPaw and what they have done and continue to do in a variety of different aspects of software development. So I want to introduce you to Serhii and Pavlo from MacPaw. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Hi, Chuck. Thank you for inviting us, for having us there. We're happy to share our experience and our point of view about everything we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. Amazing intro. Now I really want to listen to this episode by myself.
Can't wait.
So first, I'm going to ask you two to both just describe a little bit about your positions at MacPaw and what sections or divisions, I'm not sure what you call them, that you work in at the company.
Yeah. So me and Serhii, we are both originally came from Ukrainian team of MacPaw, and our company develops different types of software. So I work on consumer apps, particularly in CleanMyMac as a product manager. And I work with MacPaw for 9 years. I started as a quality assurance engineer, now in product. And I had experience working with Serhii in one team. Tell more about your current team.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a developer. I work not that long as Pavlo, but still it's about almost 5 years. As I joined MacPaw, also in Ukraine, and initially I came under Pavlo team and had him as a manager. Now we're friends and colleagues in different departments. I'm still working setup as a developer, but yeah, my responsibilities are pretty wide. So I write code, I write features, but also I do customer support. I help our customer support to understand the issues or the potential solutions with our product we set up. And I also do the vendor support, as we call inside of MacPaw. So I communicate with developers who develop app and distribute them in setup. So I had pretty interesting experiences and background. So I know the pains both for customers, for developers, and for developers who develop for developers. Sorry.
So it sounds like you're in pain all the time, is what it amounts to.
I'd say it's pretty interesting. It's never boring.
My perception is that developing software has changed over the years, and especially probably in the last, 5, 7, 10 years, because there's so many more demands. It used to be, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be that you focused on the product and making it work and all. Now you have the added complexities of security and privacy, and also you have a much more open channel since social media became popular for customer and consumer feedback, both good and bad. And so I'm curious, how you can take those together or separately, because I feel like they're related at times. How has that changed what you all do and how you focus on things? Pavlo, especially, because CleanMyMac is something that I'm giving access to my entire machine on to go in and take care of things, clean it up, make it run faster, better, easier. And so that means I'm automatically giving you sort of the keys to the kingdom, and I have to trust you with them.
Yeah, that's right. You're totally right about the time frame. I remember our first real pain started with the introduction of GDPR in European Union. It was list of, let's say, rules were absolutely new to all the players on the market. And of course, a lot of product decisions were made based on data of usage apps, of analytics. And for us, it was quite a shock, because before that, it felt like a freedom. If you want to know something about user behavior, you don't think much about all those restrictions. You just try to release a new event and check the behavior. After that introduction, I think it was like a turbulent year. But again, we quite used to be to work in restrictions, because CleanMyMac is an app that works in Apple ecosystem, and from the beginning there was already a set of rules set by Apple and by macOS. For example, let's mention accessibility. It's a features that usually doesn't bring you a lot of money. But if you want to be a really good application on macOS and for your customers and have a great brand awareness, you should use all the ways Apple gives you to make your app accessible. In some ways, it's a restriction because it takes quite a lot of time of developers to deliver that, comparing to, I don't know, new value that can bring you real money, right? So we know how it's like at that point. So we just took that for granted and just switched our Rails to a new rules. And now we are actually grateful to that, because MacPaw, for example, has certification of SOC 2. It's even bigger set of rules and requirements on security side. To get that, your company goes through, like, I don't know, like a lot of stages of adoption. And now we feel much safer knowing that we are much more protected as a company from user data breaches, from, I don't know, like malicious attacks on our product.
Just the random incidents with...
Yeah. So it gives you some pain, it gives you a lot of work, but at the end of the day, you were rewarded with a peace of mind. So I would say, as a product manager, you struggle at the beginning, but after that, you are harvesting, more safe environment, and you feel this gratitude from users that you are not on those lists of data breaches.
Yeah, right. And I think in general, the regulations are aimed to improve the customer's experience and make them feel safer. And if you're a good company like that, establish a trust between you and your customer, you're already probably doing your software with the respect of all of this, and you just say for your customers your vision, your approaches with their data, and those regulations just make another confirmation that you're a good company and you respect your customers' data, and you really interested to keep them in a very, very safe place and treat them with respect.
I'm a little surprised that more software developers don't help educate their customers on some of this. And I don't mean the actual use of the program, but just what they have to go through and what their credentials are, for lack of a better term, to to be trusted with my data. I mean, right now it seems like the push is look at my app and isn't my app wonderful, and here's what my app can do for you. And somewhere buried, in the fine print is things that we're talking about. And and that's not going to be true for every app. Some apps obviously are more concerned with privacy because they should be. But overall, it's something that I think now at this stage, well, let's face it, what doesn't connect to the internet in today's world at some point?
Yeah.
And so that automatically can create a concern for me if I'm an informed customer. And as a technologist, yes, I'm aware of everything. And so I don't download apps as readily as I used to, or don't try apps as readily as I used to. I want to know more about the people behind them and what they're doing with my data potentially, or what doors they're opening into my system.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when I launch a new app, for instance, and in the worst scenario, I will see a bunch of different alerts from macOS that this app is requesting access to network, access to microphone, access to any other thing without any explanation, and it comes everything at once without any kind of purpose, and that's really makes me sad. And one of the best experiences with the apps that when which asked me for some permissions were when they did that only after some action that really required that permission, not at the very start. As a developer, I understand that it's really, really much easier for developers to get this permission at the very start and not bother about them in the future while the app is already working. So you don't need to handle additional cases where this permission is not given, or so you just develop the happy path in your software. But as a user, I strongly believe that developers really need to describe why they need this permission. And even though there are some cases where, like, a random app is at random moment request, for instance, an access to discover another computers in my network, that's really strange. And I get it from really different kind of apps. And as a developer, I understand this alert might be triggered not directly, but because the vendor, for instance, wants to see the IP address, like to estimate the current location, the country, to improve their experience, like to adjust the language of the app. So the purpose is pretty good, but it triggers this alert and it makes the customer that, oh my God, why this app needs to find another computers in my network? Do they spy on me or anything like that? It's quite important to show the purpose of all of this.
I would add to that, like, real life example from CleanMyMac, that to run efficiently, it requires full disk access on your computer, which is already sounds scary. We call it FDA, and so usually it is needed already during the first steps of using CleanMyMac. When you open the app, there's like main module called Smart Care, which basically goes through all the modules. Not that deep, but it covers like a wide variety of tasks, and it's already like requires FDA to find more files and results. But like as Serhii mentioned, it's a really bad practice to ask users on the start, because chances are they're not educated on this topic. So it's better to start with, like, if you can show less results, but then explain that this is what you have. But if you will give full disk access, which means like you will allowing CleanMyMac to have more rights on your system, we will will look for more things. And, yeah, you will get more value for the same price, right? But you don't need to be afraid of telling your customers the truth, because the more they know, the more they trust you.
Yeah, and so CleanMyMac will still continue to work even without the full disk access, right? It's not a blocker for it.
Yeah, it's not a blocker.
Yeah, that's good.
But if I don't give it if I don't give it full disk access, it can't do everything that it can do for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is because of protection techniques, or the ways Apple protects users from some mistakes can be made. So
yeah, like for instance, CleanMyMac cleans some caches, some old settings, and accessing if one app accesses the setting of another app, it's kind of suspicious from operating system security point of view. And so normally it's not a day-to-day operation, but instead of CleanMyMac, which does have to check other apps, settings, bundles, resources, it makes sense. So instead of getting the alert that CleanMyMac wants to access the data of another app, full disk access allows to do that only just granting the access just once. So it distracts the customers less and and still allows the access for some system caches, which are not pretty easy to find, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a CleanMyMac developer, it's just my assumption from a developer perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right. Everything is right.
Well, Pavlo has not backhanded you yet, so I guess you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. So, but you bring up a bunch of points there that I want to follow up on. The idea that you tell the customer, and especially with something like CleanMyMac, and this is not an advertisement for CleanMyMac, folks. It's just an example. But you tell the user what you found and what's going to happen if you go ahead and finish the procedure. And I'm sure that, well, I would guess that there are people that have said, why do you bother me with this? Just fix it. And yes, I would much rather kind of know what you're about to fix, so that if something has to be undone, I can maybe do it. I don't expect to, but more importantly, those apps that just say, run this and everything will be fine, and don't give me any more information. I personally stay away from those, because I guess maybe I've just seen too much or heard too many bad stories about things that can go wrong.
Yeah, that's a very great topic, actually, because that's why in product management we have user cohorts, not only by channels they came from, but also based on their user profiles, on their behavior. And we have a group of customers who likes to know every step CleanMyMac makes. They read all the logs. They check. Every time they're checking. Like I had a customer who knows the location of every single file on their computer. I hope it was made using some software. And then they checked after CleanMyMac ran. They checked what's changed, and they want to see everything and to know everything, and that's totally fine. We have tools for that. And there's another group of customers that actually they don't even want to launch CleanMyMac. They want CleanMyMac running on the background, doing its job, and just notifying once a month, telling them how much junk it cleaned and how it improved their Mac. But even with this approach, I believe there would be users that don't want even those notifications. They just don't want to be bothered. So, and that's fine. And this is a task of a product team, design team of CleanMyMac to find the ways to satisfy different types of users. And for example, with FDA, we are running a bunch of tests right now because we want to know not only how to educate our customers, but also we want to know the best moment to ask for that. And turns out there's no one solution for everyone. So you need always think about, like, if you can split different flows for different users, you should go for it.
Yeah.
Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Notion, the best AI tool for work. Check it out at notion.com/MacVoices. Notion AI is all-in-one AI, powered by your work and all in one place. It automatically captures meeting notes, instantly finds the exact content you need, drafts detailed document notes for you, and lets you chat with the best AI models. Notion AI just became twice as powerful for teams, making it the best AI tool for work. If you're like me, your week is full of meetings. Some productive, some, not so much. But the worst part? Trying to remember what was actually said, especially in those less than productive meetings, and what you're supposed to do. That's why Notion AI built AI meeting notes. Now, I can record a meeting, a quick one-on-one, or even a podcast session, and Notion automatically transcribes it, summarizes it, and even suggests action items. It doesn't matter what platform I'm on, Zoom, Google, Meet, even just my Mac system audio. And the best of it? No weird bots joining the call. It just works quietly in the background, then organizes everything so I can get to work immediately. If you want every decision, idea, and next step saved and ready to act on, give it a try. Go to notion.com/MacVoices. That's notion.com/MacVoices, all lowercase, and see what it's like to have a perfect memory for every meeting. And when you use my link, you support MacVoices. Notion.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Notion for supporting MacVoices. Serhii, you must have a camera in my place here, because probably about 20 minutes before we started this interview, I had one of those random pop-ups that says, this particular app would like to search for other devices on your network.
I had it too today.
And it's like, where did this come from and why right now? Because I haven't even touched that app probably in 12, 14 hours, well, maybe since last night. And yet all of a sudden now it wants to look and see what's going on. And I want to ask this because I don't want to lay blame where it should not be laid. But one of you, I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm not sure who said that when I first launch an app, it wants access to the camera and the microphone and everything all at once. Is that something that is just a system notification, or if you wanted to as a developer, could you put a notification up that, hey, we want access to your camera so that we can create some thumbnail of you? I'm making it up as I go, but give me a reason that you want to access my camera.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's if it's a video conference session like we're doing right now over Zoom, it's pretty obvious why they want your camera and why they want your microphone. Mm-hmm. But then there's some other applications, just no, you don't need that, and you sure don't need to have access to my contacts for under no circumstances. Is that something that developers could improve on to educate the customer?
Definitely, yeah. It's a good practice to not make the direct calls in the code to the system frameworks to get the access to the microphone or any other privacy-related resource, but to first show some kind of explanation or an alert to prepare and give a reason what will happen next. So yeah, it's there's even many different third-party libraries that facilitate this task for developers. So they give some kind of UI in their application that says, okay, for this task, we will need microphone, camera, and, for instance, allocation service. And user can tap the button for each permission. So it's going to be a user-initiated action when they get this permission. So this is a really great approach that I like a lot and try to do in the apps I worked on. But sometimes it's not obvious for developers when this system alert is gonna appear on user screen. It might change from one release of the macOS to another one. So for example, if on a previous version of macOS, getting the current IP address was just a regular operation so they just added this code, knowing that it won't cause any questions. And in the other version, the same system code actually triggers this system alert, and it gets customers confused about that. And the code is the same, but the behavior really changed. So that's why it's really, really important to follow the WWDC updates, to read all of the change logs, the platform state of the union, to be ready for such kind of unexpected situations, to avoid confuses for themselves, for us as developers, and for your customers. So yeah, I can see a lot of different apps that actually ask for searching for other computers in the network. I think that is that case where something started to work a little bit differently.
Okay, so you've just given a bunch of developers an excuse, and that's great because it's completely legitimate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now maybe I'm being unreasonable, and please tell me if you think I am. But I'm a little concerned that maybe a developer hasn't updated their app to address some of those things, especially if we're talking about a newer version of Mac OS and how it's causing something to behave just a little bit differently. And so I'm seeing something brand new when I upgrade to the latest version of Mac OS. And of course, we all need to do these upgrades for security. I mean, we're right back to where we started with security. But then if something starts misbehaving or behaving differently, then I become suspicious or concerned. And should I be?
There was a really, really good example, but in iOS, when Apple added in the new version of iOS an alert when application was trying to read the contents of the pasteboard, and turned out that many apps, when you just open them, they were reading the contents of the pasteboard. And with that update, users started to notice that. And some apps had real troubles explaining why do they really need that. So yeah, unfortunately, not every app is a user-friendly, and there are some apps that collect too much, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Too much. And there were some apps that collected the contents of the pasteboard to use in advertisement in analytics, maybe with a good purpose to show more relevant content, but without the user consent. So this update was pretty useful for users, and if applications were trying to read the pasteboard, it raised some questions. But not all apps who were reading the pasteboard each time user was opening them weren't like the bad apps, because maybe developers had not that much time, so they decided just to make sure they didn't miss anything. For instance, application that has some promo codes or any other thing that user usually pastes in their app. So maybe they decided to, okay, let's scan the pasteboard and proactively suggest if we find something useful. So they might have processed everything locally without sending them to any backend, and yeah, but this implementation wasn't the most optimal, and these alerts encourage the developers to improve the code and to fix it to respect the user privacy.
And also, that's the reason why some apps over time can misbehave with those kind of alerts, is because from my experience, developer teams, product teams, indie developers, they are in this rabbit hole of using their own app and not using it the way their customers using it. I know a lot of developers who use apps only on like developer builds of their apps, and they don't see the real behavior of installation flow. For example, they're using their old accounts and not creating a new one to see how it looks like for new customers and so on. So I would suggest sometimes to look for a completely new machine and try to install your application from scratch, go through all those stages, check how the system reacts to it. Because as a product manager, I'm very happy with the idea to send as many notifications as I want to reach my numbers, right? But as a user, I hate it. And one of my favorite updates was when macOS introduced and iOS, they introduced the banner asking me to allow the app to send me a notification. There was times that prior that question, I just can't believe we survived that time. But now I'm so happy because I'm in control of my attention, at least on this part.
I'm happy iOS from time to time suggests me to turn off the notification from the app that already have it, if they start to spam you with
and location services as well. So my recommendation to all developers, especially indie developers who are limited with hands, sometimes they don't have additional quality assurance and so on. And my suggestion to users who see, if you see that sometimes app behaves not the way you like it, it is crucial to write feedback, because they just simply can. Maybe they miss that. Maybe it's out of the sight. So always tell them, don't be angry and just delete the app.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.